So every now and then I do some Uber food deliveries just to kind of keep myself from just not having nothing to do, right? And I just went through this really weird period of having like I was going through postpartum. My daughter, she just turned one a couple months ago. And I mean, it's not to say that I'm like there's a time limit on postpartum, but the first like 6 months, crazy, right? Um, I have to say I'm just now starting to feel a little back to normal, but I'll never get to who I used to be. Like, who I was, like my daughter is baby number two. So that before having baby period, that is over. Like I'm completely different now, right? And it changes you biologically, all these different things. Psychologically. I wanted to lean on the psychosis part. Or the psychological part rather. Those are two different words. Anyway, I had our daughter and we were going through so much during that time. Like, in fact, the worst part of what we were going through happened around the time that I learned we were pregnant with our second child. I mean, we were just warming up to having our first one. He was a complete surprise, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. So, by the time we learned that I was pregnant with our daughter, our son was 10 months, wasn't even a year old, right? So, no, it was right before his first birthday. Anyway, numbers, whatever. So, here's my point. I always did Uber as like, it's kind of something like a hobby or a side hustle or something. And I remember when I first started, I was on my high horse because you have to realize, and by the way, I'm watching them. Hey, mama. So, anyway, I was on my high horse. I came straight from high school, straight into the military. And that can really mess a person up, a young person. Because the military, you're going to get paid regardless. And you're going to get paid a whole lot more than what you're worth. I hate to say it that way, but most people who are fresh out of high school, they don't know what it's like to work like a minimum wage job or anything like that. They have no social skills, not like as an adult. They don't know what it's like to get out here and pay bills, so on and so forth. Now, I had some pretty tragic things happen during my teen years. So I was kind of familiar with how adult life could be. Just to take the mystery out of that, my parents were deceased by the time I was 15. So it changes the whole ball game, right? Well, anyway, fast forward from that, you got your safety net. You got your GI Bill when you get out, Not to mention if you were smart like me, you have a couple tens of thousands of dollars in savings. You got not necessarily a nest egg, but you got something. You don't come out with just nothing if you really choose to get out of the military and you plan ahead and you're proactive. Well, anyway, needless to say, I went straight from military, college, tried my job. When I got out of college, I was used to making more money, so I got a CDL, met my husband, boom, like, and I was just thinking, it's just up and up from there. Like, finances has never really been an issue in my adult life, and nor will it ever be. So I thought, okay, fine. We had some things line up, and kids will change your finances, is what I learned. Like, it's much easier to just, do stuff with your finances when it's just you, you're an adult, and your spouse, they're an adult, and you guys both are truck drivers. It's like a no-brainer, right? Well, you have kids. My husband and I, we were forced to deal with this dilemma of, child care versus raising our child. And immediately, the daycares in our area was like, oh, you make too much to put your kids in daycare. Yeah. Like, even if I were to quit my job because I was on maternity leave, if you were to quit your job, even with just your husband's income, he makes too much to enroll your children or your child at the time, junior. So we were already in a weird situation. Anyway, I'm saying all this to say, When I went to Uber, I learned normal life. I learned about everyday people. And like I said before, I didn't Uber for a while and then I came back to it. Okay, I'm gonna say Uber Life 1, Uber Life 2. Uber Life 1, of course, I had this sense of entitlement. I was on my high horse. I've never worked for tips before. Uber Life 2, raising these kids, being off the road, you know, my husband, he makes a decent chunk of change. He takes pretty good care of us. But actually getting out here and doing something, I get to see why some days when he works long hours or when things go wrong with his job, why he's so out of it, you know? Because I've had some days Ubering where I was like, man, I'm stacking. And then other days where I'm like, yo, I just ran for gas money. And that's just to say, I'm grateful that I'm not depending on it, but it checks me. It gives me a level of humility. There was this one lady while I was Ubering, very rude. Opportunity one, very rude. I came to go pick up my food and she just kind of treated me like an Uber driver, like, hey, get out of the way, real customers here. The first time that happened to me, Uber number one, I was like pissed, like, wow, rude. But then the second time, this lady, she was mean to me, and I was like, oh my God, thank you. And she was just weirded out by me, but I was like, well, dang, um, which tells me people don't really appreciate service, what it's like to serve. Like, even though the lady was rude to me, it just felt like, wow, you know, I mean, I think in her mind, she's like, oh, you're just a driver, you're just a brokey. Or like, this is her like one chance to feel like she's above somebody else. And I told her, thank you. It was a reflex. I should have kept it in my head. But I told her, thank you, because it was like, you got to show me your humanity. That's just how I took it. Like, I'm out here driving around for $6 here, $4 there, and then you see me and you go, oh man, I hate my life. I get to treat somebody like trash. And I'm like, wow, like that person. I actually helped her attitude that day. The fact that I didn't like buck at her, she was like, oh. And then she apologized to me and then she explained to me that, she's having a rough time. She might be getting laid off soon. I was like, hey man, it's okay. And it's like, I'm Ubering to tell people it's gonna be okay. And that feels so good, like, are things always going the way I want them to go? No. There are plenty of things my husband and I wanted to have by this time, but this is life. And there's always somebody out there, even when you're just Ubering for some pocket change, there's always somebody that just needs to be heard, even if their delivery is terrible. But anyway, I just thought I should share with you guys like why I love Ubering so much. Like, I know one day there will be a time when I won't have time to do it anymore, but that was just like the highlight. So yeah, that's basically it.